trouble. It's not my fault, all this. I also lose my friends, I lost my baby. That is looking crack, only today want to change. He wanted us on the cougar track, more like to feel. I'd kill the real, take your life in a second. The table drinks coffee in my kitchen, I mentioned eating every song, I just wanted to go away. You decide to stay in the well. I want to be forgiven, I don't like this kid for money. Sorry I was scared, you're not the way it feels. Like to sleep with it for someone to come in and kill you. The final thing is that now we're not friends of anything. Cause they gonna kill anyone that feels so powerful. They try by you every new skin of everything is confusing. You will be good but you will be more. You will be good but you will be more. You will be good but you will be more. Alone every day it is a praise of pleasure.
And welcome back to Dynasty 365, where there is no off-season. Today we're going to be finishing up the film notes and measurables on the rest of my Tier 3 wide receivers. Last time we left off with Deebo Samuel. I'm going to be speeding up the notes a little bit to try to get more receivers in. Today we're going to be going over Emanuel Hall, Jazz Ferguson, Keelan Doss, KeeSean Johnson, Marquise Brown, Miles Boykin, and Stanley Morgan Jr. Next up we've got Emanuel Hall out of Missouri. He is 73.875 inches tall, or almost 6'2", 201 pounds, 9.75 inch hands, 79.375 inch wingspan. He has above average wingspan and slightly above average hand size and average height. He's got an average weight divided by height, above average span divided by height, and a slightly above average hand size divided by height. He had some pretty impressive athletic measurables at the combine, running a 4.39 second 40-yard dash, a 43.5 inch vertical, 141 inch broad jump, and 15 reps on the bench. The bench was middle of the pack. The vertical and broad jump were among the best in the class, if not the best in the class, and a 4.39 40-yard dash was well above average. He didn't participate in the 3-cone or the 20-yard shuttle, and I definitely would have liked to see him do those, but we'll see what it looks like on the film. Against Florida. Looks to have above average long speed, probably average agility and acceleration. Didn't fight back to the football, but looks very fluid. So the above average long speed showed up on the combine. I would have liked to see him fight back to the football. And looking fluid, if you missed the first episode, we talked about it. That's one of the more subjective metrics, I guess, or observations. Some people can just run. Some people look very uncoordinated when they run. He looks super coordinated. Again, he didn't adjust to the football. Ran a nice out route at almost 90 degrees, but didn't plant to make the cut or fake any direction before cutting. So he didn't use any deception on this play. He simply ran, decelerated, and turned. Has no interest in blocking. You need to be able to block if you want to see the field year one outside of a few specialty plays on offense in the NFL. Had no inside fake on his vertical go route and got pushed out of bounds as a result. I don't like to see receivers get pushed out of bounds. You can't make a play if you're out of bounds. His bench was decent enough that shouldn't be an issue. He does look extremely fluid. Gives literally zero effort blocking. Definitely has long speed, showed nice late hands. His releases are non-existent. Late hands means you wait until the ball is almost arrived to your body before you try to catch it. If you don't have late hands, it tells the defensive back where to put his hand to try to knock the ball out. They're trained to punch through the middle of your hands and rip it out. If you don't show him where they are until it's too late, that's an NFL level technique. Not having any releases planned shows that he's just used to out-athleting everyone and almost doesn't think they're important, or he won't work on that area of his craft. Zero effort blocking. Zero effort blocking. Zero effort blocking. Zero effort blocking. No, I'm not on repeat. He just literally gave zero effort blocking 4 plays in a row. How do you get on the field year one? Great slant route in the end zone. Great adjustment to the football as well. But he let the ball into his body. But he hasn't dropped a catchable ball yet, including this one. Starts showing a nice inside release on a slant. He faked out real hard. Makes sense, right? Remember, inside release, we're exiting the area of contact with the defensive back towards where the ball was snapped. Well, if you want to get the guy off balance, you fake like you're going the opposite direction, which would be outside. Dropped the slant upon contact with the ground. Against Wyoming. Definitely shows secure hands. He's probably the worst blocker I've seen yet. Clearly we have a long way to go in the blocking department with Emanuel Hall. Shows nice stop-start ability, juke ability, and awareness with the ball in his hands. That's good to see. We're going to get some yards after the catch with Emanuel Hall. He can stop, start, juke, and has awareness of where the defenders are. That combination of traits leads to yards after the catch. He just stumbled on his inside release, but he still caught the ball. He just cost his team a turnover with his ridiculous laziness to help his own teammates. I don't like seeing laziness. I don't like seeing no effort blocking. To me, that is a huge mental red flag. We've been over it before. But when you cost your team turnovers, when you cost your team yards, coaches notice that. The receiver, maybe he's not even aware. Maybe he lacks awareness. But I guarantee you the coaches want him to block, or at least help his teammates. That's a very selfish attitude to have in a team sport. He actually tried to block someone, but it was awful. But hey, at least he finally tried. He probably just got his fucking ass chewed for costing his team a turnover. So he finally tried to block someone. Only took him a game and a half to try to block someone. How do you get on the field first year as a receiver again? I forget. He doesn't really have a plan with his outside release whatsoever, but he did make a nice sideline catch on the back shoulder. A back shoulder is when you're running a fade or a fly route down the sideline, and the quarterback intentionally underthrows it because you're covered, and instead of throwing a deep arcing ball, he throws a hard, fast spiral, and it's allowing you to stop while the DB overruns it and catch it on your back shoulder. If you want to see an example of this, if you're not quite sure what it is, watch Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson. About 70% of their plays were back shoulders. Actually had a nice little block there, but it's clear he doesn't really know how to do it. He's standing way too tall. He's not holding. He's not driving. He's still not even trying, even though he is technically blocking someone. To me, that again shows some coach just yelled at him. They told him to block, but he does it so little that he doesn't even know how to do it. And even while he's blocking, he's not trying. It's clear on film. It's absolutely clear as day he's not trying. He's gonna have to learn how to do that once he hits the NFL. There's a lot of other things to learn as well. I think we talked about how it's like a baby trying to walk for the first time. If you've never done it, it's going to be that much harder to learn. That's what Emanuel Hall is going to have to figure out with blocking. And the rate at which he can learn that is going to be a huge factor of how early he sees a field. It's pretty apparent whether or not he's going to block or run a route. And again, he sucks at blocking and doesn't try. He definitely has the speed to get deep. He definitely has sure hands, no drops yet. He does have a good burst, probably above average. Ran a pretty decent hitch route, but didn't drive back towards the ball. Remember, a hitch route is where you're running a fly or you're looking like you're going upfield, then you break back towards the inside of the field. That's where the quarterback is. You have to keep going so that the defender doesn't have a chance to come in and break up the play. On this play, he didn't come back to the quarterback. Guess what happened? He loads instead of already being in position in his stance, but he doesn't false step. Has above average to elite body control. Body control is another one of those quote-unquote subjective measurements like running fluid. It's hard to really explain other than you can tell his body does exactly what his brain tells it to do. He's not flailing his arms. He's not crossing his hands trying to catch a ball. They just go where he wants them to go. Mike Williams is a good example coming out. He had elite body control on contested catches. Showed an inside step, followed up with an arm bar on his outside release. It was the first physical move he's done on his releases. An arm bar is an MMA move where you break someone's elbow. This is a different type of arm bar. Really, it's just a straight arm thrown into the crook of his armpit, essentially, so that now when he's off balance and you throw that hard, straight right, he's even further off balance and can't recover. It's good that he will use a physical release, though, because most of the time he's using his athleticism, and when he does these releases, they're finesse releases and juke moves. Zero effort blocking, zero effort blocking, zero effort blocking. He does have good ball tracking, but he never high points it. He's got that insane vertical, right? 44 inches, but he's not using it to his advantage. He's not going up to get the ball. He's just letting it come to him. Not sure if that's because he didn't have enough opportunities or that's just how he likes to play. We've talked before about high pointing is a very good technique. I'll kind of try to explain why again. If you know what a Venn diagram is, it's where you have one circle and another circle written down on a piece of paper and they overlap. In that area are the things they have in common. Imagine that circle surrounding the wide receiver in all the areas he can jump, dive, and still catch a football. So it's a 360-degree bubble with a shape that's probably not perfectly circle, but pretty near close to it. The defensive back only has to get one hand in to have that same circle. So imagine a defensive back and all the places he can jump, dive with one arm outstretched to create that same bubble. When you high point it, you literally prevent the defensive back from having his bubble overlap with your bubble. When you don't, your bubbles are overlapping. You're taking a 0% chance of him not touching the football and infinitely increasing the odds just by not high pointing it, just by letting him overlap his bubble of breaking up the pass with your bubble of catching the pass. He does have great hands. Next game was against Oklahoma State. 0 effort blocking. I've never said this many times about any player ever. 0 effort blocking. He has insane ball tracking skills, but he doesn't high point it. Ball tracking is just adjusting to the ball in the air and clearly moving your body and hands to make the catch. 0 effort blocking. Georgia, 2017. The dude is a natural athlete, but watching this film is so frustrating. Just showed completely 0 effort diving for a definitely catchable football. Football results are greatly about effort. At least winning is. My theory is that's also how you improve your body, prevent injuries, have a longer career, all these things. It's just effort and want to. I can get how people don't want to give effort blocking. I mean, I don't, because I'm about winning. I like the team to win. In a team game, call me crazy. But when you're the guy about to make the catch and you're still not going to dive, that's just a big fuck you to the quarterback. You should have thrown that better. Fuck you. I'm not getting dirty. Fuck you. I hate that shit. He does sink his hips when breaking on a route, but he has a lot of work to do if he wants to run a full route tree. False start. I hate false starts. Definitely has great lateral agility as well. So that's funny. It's weird to see that I'm saying he has great agility as well. It makes sense with how fluid and how much of a natural athlete we're calling him. But why wouldn't he run those at the combine? I'm going to have to check and see if he was hurt after running one of his other drills. But you would think you'd want to show that off, because his numbers were pretty insane at the combine. They really were. And he really does have great hands, but he's just got such a lack of effort in so many areas. Man. So I kept watching more film just to see this player more. Just to see if I was missing something because of how rare his athletic tools are. Florida, 2017. He actually tried to block someone. False start. His wingspan has to be insane. And at the combine, he did have a pretty insane wingspan for his height. Not the craziest in the class, but still well above average. Can stop on a dime. Runs a good hitch route. Elite ball tracking, then catch concentration. The next game was Tennessee, 2017. His first drop, first play of the game on offense. He didn't use his hands. I don't really blame him because he can freaking catch. Good job finding the soft spot in the zone. It is good to see that he can sit down in a soft spot in the zone. He's got so many mental red flags with effort, in my opinion, in all these other different areas. It's good to see that he at least has some intelligence about football and knowing this is where I need to sit down. This is the spot between the two linebackers where the quarterback can see me and I can get the football. He gets rerouted at the slightest contact because he doesn't work side to side vertically. Remember we were talking about when you're running a fly, you really do want to be working left and right. Not a lot, but like 6 inches, little body fakes, head fakes, to get that defender just making a decision. Is he turning? If you don't do that at all, he knows exactly where you're going, and now he can just start pushing you. You need to be able to adjust to that. He blocked someone again. So that's about 2 for 98 on trying to block someone while playing football. If you haven't noticed, football has a lot to do with blocking. I think he's going to need a lot of technical refinement, but he has every physical tool you could want. He doesn't really explode out of his breaks. He's more of a one-speed guy, even though he could probably learn that as a route runner. Another drop ball trying to body catch. So when his hands are this good, why is he trying to body catch? I don't get it. He literally didn't drop a single ball with his hands that I saw. He's pretty much a Darius Slayton with way better hands, but not anywhere close to as good at really running routes, like the actual technical aspects of running routes. And I'm not saying Darius Slayton is a good blocker, but he makes Darius Slayton look like Rob Gronkowski. R.I.P. I actually don't, because I need you on my dynasty team this year. So that's it for Emanuel Hall. Very frustrating player for me to watch, just with my mentality and way that I play football. And I get not everyone's the same, and I know it sounds like bias when I get angry. I still really do try to take every single play, pretend it's a brand new player, but still keep in the back of my mind the things I saw on film from him to update them. The dude is a freak athlete. The dude can catch, but he's definitely going to take some time in the NFL unless he's used on very particular plays, which isn't really someone you're going to be able to start in fantasy this season. After the combine, I started seeing his average draft position go up a lot in the mock drafts, going around the internet and Twitter and all that stuff, and I am totally happy letting someone else take him. If he's going in the second round, go ahead. You can have him. In the second round, I'm still looking for guys that are going to play year one. I'm not taking what is a for sure, no doubt in my mind, multi-year project. Is his upside worth it in the end? Maybe, but you're going to have to wait at least 1.5 years to find that out. It's a year right now from the draft and another half a year until he's played enough games in the second season to tell if he's good or not. Look at MVS this year, Marquise Brown. He looked pretty good, and he got to see the field early because he was in a good situation. Emanuel Hall could go to the Dolphins and get a lot of play, or I guess probably more likely the Redskins, or the Ravens, or the Patriots. Oh, there's no way Bill Belichick's ever going to draft this guy. I can about guarantee you that. But he's just going to take a roster spot for so long that if you don't have a taxi squad or deep benches, I have no idea why he's going so high right now after the mental concerns I have with him. And it's possible I'm just biased. We just play football completely different. He goes to the NFL, decides, oh yeah, no, I'm still too good to block, and maybe he's right. I doubt it, and his price is just going way too high because of how much everyone loves his numbers at the combine. If I can get Emanuel Hall in the second or Darius Slayton in the fourth or fifth, I'm going to take Darius Slayton, and it's not even close. If I had a second round pick and someone's trying to trade up for Emanuel Hall because that's his ADP, I'm getting a third round pick and a fourth round pick at minimum. I'm doing that. I'll even take Darius Slayton in the third round and just hope he learns how to catch. We've got Jazz Ferguson out of Northwestern State, I believe. I think it's in Mississippi or something crazy like that. I'm not sure. It's a smaller school, I think 1AA. He was originally a 5-star recruit to Tennessee. I can't remember how he got in trouble, what he got in trouble for, but regardless, he had to transfer and move down. He is 76.625 inches, so a little over 6'4.5", 227 pounds, 9.25-inch hands with an 81.5-inch wingspan. He's middle of the pack age-wise at 22.23 years old, and he's coming out as a redshirt junior. He's got an above average weight divided by height, pretty much the same as Deebo Samuel, which is kind of surprising. Above average span divided by height, but a below average hand divided by height. He ran a good time at the combine in the 40, 4.45, above average. He had a middle of the pack 37-inch vertical, middle of the pack 123-inch broad jump, below average 8 reps on the bench, below average 7.25 3-cone drill, and a far below average 4.59 20-yard shuttle. There's limited film on Jazz Ferguson. The only full game was against Texas A&M. Loads his feet on his release, but nice head fakes throughout his route. Nice physicality on his block, and tracked his guy another 15 yards inside. Polar opposite after complaining 25 minutes about Emanuel Hall. He likes to get physical blocking, and he didn't just let the guy go. He's tracking him down. He's hunting him. He already seems to like hitting people, a good sign. That is my favorite thing too. Just missed his block, but you can see the effort is there. I'm going to guess he's not a tremendous athlete. So, running a 4.45 40 while having a 37-inch vertical and a pretty good broad jump for how tall and thick he is, that's pretty much a tremendous athlete. He had a slow 20-yard shuttle, and I've told you that's my most important thing I like to see, but it's definitely less important for someone almost 6'5". That's that big, that can jump that high, and was a 5-star recruit. I'm going to say average to below average acceleration, average long speed, and average to maybe above average agility and open field running. So this is where we see that below average acceleration in his quote unquote agility drills, the 3-cone and the 20-yard shuttle. But if he's got enough agility, side to side movement in the open field, I don't really care that much about the acceleration when his 40-yard dash was a 4.45. That is a much better time than I thought he would run. Nice timing on a jump on a contested post/over route, but he couldn't make the contested catch. When you are that big and strong, I want to see you make contested catches. The post, we should all know what a post is. An over route is essentially a dig that you round. You don't have to do the 90-degree square in cut. So this was somewhat in between the two of them. It was hard to tell on the film. Nice aggression on the hump move on an inside release. So the hump move is typically a defensive line move. Reggie White did it better than anyone ever has and probably ever will. Aaron Donald does as well. All it really is keeping your right arm almost straight but bent. Think of a right hook or a left hook. In boxing, it's pretty much the same motion, but you're swinging your hips at the same time to deliver maximum power and either turn their shoulder or knock them completely off balance or sideways. Pretty much saying, I'm bigger, move that way. Nice routes, but I think he lacks the acceleration to capitalize on them. That could be the 20-yard shuttle showing up. Seems to get more and more gassed and lazy blocking throughout the game. After watching an interview of him, my personal theory is that he likes to smoke a lot of weed. If he were white or black or Mexican or Asian, the way he looked in that interview, I was like, this dude is high right now. So maybe that's it. Maybe I'm just crazy. But it does make sense when you're that big that you're going to get lazier. But I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you get tired. When you're that much bigger and stronger than everyone else in your division and you were a 5-star recruit, I want to see you consistent, even if you're playing in a lower division. Nice jab step to the outside on his inside release. Right, makes sense. I'm trying to go inside. I'm going to fake outside. They were getting blowed out, but he still gave up blocking entirely during the second half. I don't like to see that. That's a loser's attitude. Oh, we're losing, so I'm just done trying. Why should I expend any effort? Transitioning to the NFL is going to be hard. If you give up that easily, I get it. It's Texas A&M and you're a small school, but you can at least be a boss by yourself. You want to hit and block early in the game, but now you're just not into it. You either lack conditioning, mental toughness, something. Good hands catch deep on a post, but kind of had to double clutch it. Great double move, got the DB completely turned around. Good agility and running after the catch. His long speed might actually be pretty darn good. So, looks like I changed my mind and said, he actually might have some good long speed. 4.45 40, pretty good long speed. Poor acceleration, pretty shitty 20-yard shuttle. His side-to-side agility looked good, though. So that's where I'm not seeing something in the combine, but I do think that the broad jump shows side-to-side agility a little bit. It's pretty concerning how much his blocking effort lowered. Since I couldn't find another game, I just went to his 2018 highlights. Great one-handed catch on the left sideline and had the speed to outrace the DB to the end zone, although he wasn't pulling away. So that just means he doesn't have 4.3 speed, but if the DB ran a 4.5, that would make sense. Showed an over-the-shoulder catch on the left sideline. I like to see that. I like to see the body control and the ball tracking to make an over-the-shoulder catch when you're that big. Especially when you're coming from a smaller school, your skills have to be almost more impressive because of the competition that you're on display against. There are plenty of 5-star recruits that didn't turn out to be anything. He could be one of them. He could be a 5-star recruit that got in some sort of trouble, decided to transfer, but still is an athletic freak. Again, shows good open field agility and break tackle ability, especially for his size. Made a lot of contested catches. He shows a nice ability to catch the ball at the highest point and use his hands. Consistent ability to make off-balance tacklers miss. Very interesting player. He is very hard to peg down for me. I don't have enough film that I want to see. I hope I get to see his pro day numbers. I hope some more film comes out, hopefully at the draft. I can't wait to see where he gets drafted, which team he gets drafted to, because he's big, he's fast, he's got skill with his hands, he's got skill route running, he likes to block. But the transfer story, I need to look into. But typically anytime someone's a 5-star recruit and ends up at Northwestern State or whatever it's called, you did something fucked up. Like, you did something bad, you're an idiot, something. For you to completely give up on your team in the second half, I hate seeing that. I just do. You're going to try super hard at the beginning of the game and then, no, I'm done. It makes me think you quit on a lot of things. So I'm going to cheat how we were talking about Emanuel Hall and Darius Slayton. I would kind of compare him to Miles Boykin. Emanuel Hall is now going in the second round of drafts before the combine, but he moves up a ton from this combine experience. Same with Miles Boykin. I think Jazz Ferguson had just as impressive of a combine, if not a little worse than Miles Boykin. I believe he's taller and bigger, and he displays some pretty great traits on film. The problem is there's just not enough film to really make a decision. So he has more uncertainty, but it's the same type of scenario with Hall and Slayton where, well, if you're comfortable taking Hall in the second, why aren't you comfortable taking Slayton in the fourth or fifth? If you're comfortable taking Miles Boykin in the second, why aren't you fine with taking Jazz Ferguson in the third, fourth, or fifth, depending on where he ends up? He's probably going to go higher than Slayton just because of how big he is and that he does show the ability to catch, which is sad that I have to say about Slayton, but it's true. But I'm hoping the limited film is going to keep his draft price low, but I think he has just as much upside as Miles Boykin does, and we'll get to Boykin, but the limited film I've seen from Jazz Ferguson, I think he's a better football player when it comes to the technical stuff than Boykin. Next up, we've got Keelan Doss out of UC Davis. He is 74.125 inches tall, or 6'2", 211 pounds, 9.5-inch hands, 77.125-inch wingspan. He's 23.04 years old, which is slightly above average. He's coming out as a senior. He's got a middle-of-the-pack weight divided by height, span divided by height, and hand size divided by height. Keelan was invited to the combine, but he didn't do any drills. Major red flag for me. He didn't have a lot of available film, but I watched one game and then his highlight tape from 2018 against Eastern Washington University. He looks fairly unathletic, especially for his size and level of competition. Takes a false step on his release. His stance is super awkward. Gives up on plays early, not sure if it's him or the offense. Nice deep catch on a deep in route. Average acceleration, found the soft spot in the zone and made a hands catch. Not a good blocker, looks super weak. I do want to clarify, he actually did do one combine event, and that was the bench, and he did 8 reps, which was below average, so that matches up with the film. I don't think he has long speed. Takes him forever to get going, but he can find the spots in the zone. Just made a nice contested catch on the sidelines. He's going to test horribly, or, as it turns out, he's not going to test at all. I just don't think he's very athletic, can't block at all. Seems to body catch more than he hand catches. When you only have one game to watch, you definitely are a little more negative, but not running the drills at the combine make me believe my eyes did not deceive me, especially with his style of play. To see someone body catch with his overall Keenan Allen-esque type of game, it's very concerning. And then when he's not technically proficient on things like taking a false step on his release, having an awkward stance, giving up on plays, and not blocking, doesn't add up to someone who's going to make the jump from, I believe, 1AA up to the NFL in year one. His 2018 highlight film, I don't even think he's very good on routes. When people are comparing you to Keenan Allen and you're not hands catching, you're not blocking, and you're not running good routes, it makes me think those people don't have the ability or experience to properly study film. He has no speed or acceleration or agility. Bad combination if we're trying to play football. He did run a nice out right there. He chopped his feet to decelerate before turning. A lot of the guys we've watched, they make one hard plant step before they change direction. He's one of those players who chops his feet and decelerates his momentum before he turns, which in a lot of ways I prefer because it makes all of your routes look the same if you decelerate properly without leaning your body, that is, and you can decelerate quickly. He can make contested catches, but I don't think his vertical is very high at all. He will always get caught from behind, very low upside. Body catches a lot, probably has average long speed, average to above average acceleration, and average to above average agility. I think I was just trying to be kind at this point, to be honest, because not doing any drills at the combine and not having any pro day measurements to go off of, the rest of my film was calling him pretty slow, not being able to accelerate, and unagile. Next note, maybe worse than those guesses. He does have a knack for ball tracking deep, but I really don't think he's very athletic. Keelan Doss is someone I almost guarantee I won't be targeting, as there's another receiver with a similar style of play from a small school that I liked a lot more in the same tier, and we'll get there pretty quick. So I'm honestly probably going to move him down. The good thing that I found out after starting this whole podcast deal is when I say it out loud and read back my own handwriting, I guess. I mean, it's printed, but I'm the one that had the thought. 1, it re-sparks my memory, and 2, I convince myself, for better or worse, hopefully for better, that at the time I just didn't really want to put this guy over the other one because I didn't have his film yet. But usually after like 2 or 3 games, I'll kind of rank them and then I'll go back if I see something that changes my mind on film. But when you see it in totality and their overall skill set, and then you hear combine numbers, you do some adjustments. I'm pretty excited this year to see how my grades pre-draft line up to the real NFL draft. But if you hear someone compare Keelan Doss to Keenan Allen, just know that they're full of shit. Up next, we've got the real Keenan Allen comparison in this class, KeeSean Johnson out of Fresno State. He's 73.125 inches tall, so barely over 6'1", 201 pounds, 9.5 inches tall, with a 75.75 inch span. He's middle of the pack in all of those numbers, except for his span is slightly below average. He has a middle of the pack 22.49 age. He's coming out as a redshirt senior. His weight, span, and hand size divided by height, they're all in the middle range for this draft class. One could definitely look at his combine and think he didn't do well. He ran a below average 4.640, a far below average 30-inch vertical, a pretty far below average 117-inch broad jump, a middle of the pack 14 reps on the bench, a below average 7.28 second 3-cone, and a middle of the pack 4.23 20-yard shuttle. Remember what I've said probably 87 times. For agility and being a football player, especially wide receiver and tight end and running back, I like the 20-yard shuttle. If that's middle of the pack, I'm fine. 4.640. People freak the fuck out about a 4.640. Do you realize the difference between a 4.6, which Kelvin Harmon ran, and a 4.53, which N'Keal Harry ran, is 2%? 2%. You guys are making all these fucking decisions because one number is slightly larger than a number, when in reality, it is a 2% difference. If me and you run a 40, and you beat me by 2%, but I'm far more skilled than you in every other way of playing wide receiver, does that 2% really matter? To people who don't watch film, to people who don't understand numbers, to people who don't understand football, it does. But a 4.6 is a great time for KeeSean Johnson. Is he going to catch contested balls? Probably not with a 30-inch vertical and being 6'1". He did almost double the reps of Keelan Doss on the bench. A 4.2 second 20-yard shuttle is still pretty good. Like, I have no problems with a 4.2 second 20-yard shuttle. But the number one thing I'm really fucking tired with in the Dynasty community is any number over 4.6 and that prospect is written off. Every position over 4.6, nope, you suck. You don't run a 4.5. It's a 2% difference. 2%. That's probably more sales tax than the city you live in. How often do you think about your city sales tax? Do you drive to a different city just to pay less tax? No. You know why? Because it's 2% and you don't even think about it. But you see that number written down at the combine and now he sucks. So, I know I just went on a little mini rant there, but a 4.6040 is a great time for KeeSean Johnson. Makes me feel much better about him. All right, to lower my blood pressure a little, let's go to the film. Against Minnesota, he looks pretty thin, but we saw that he has an average weight divided by height. Pretty slender, not too athletic for his size. In a lot of ways, that's correct. I'm really not very impressed with him. I don't think he's athletic enough or a good enough route runner that you can create separation against Minnesota. What is he going to do in the NFL? That's a fair point. If I have concerns about his route running, he's probably not the next Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen wins on route running more than anything else. Keenan Allen is literally the magician of receivers. Misdirection, illusion, that's how he wins. He was doing okay at blocking, but he just looks weak for his size, which I don't like. Well, the combine says he can put up 14 reps on the bench. But again, combine strength and real football strength are two completely different things. You have to coordinate your whole body in football in order to be strong. Nevada. I think he could be a good route runner. Just alligator armed one on the sideline, that would have been a big catch. We've talked about alligator arms before, but if you don't listen to every episode, we'll go over it again. If you've ever seen the Florida Gators do their chant, right? They have their arms straight out and they chop their arms up and down. Normally when people are scared or they don't trust their hands, that's what they do. Alligator arms. Most of the time, it's when you're about to be contacted in a catch over the middle because they're scared of getting injured or hurt. I'm probably going to have him pretty low. Not a very good blocker. Seems weak and unathletic for his size. Pretty good hands, but he just dropped an easy out route catch. He seems to get out-physicaled constantly. That's where I start to get a little concerned. He doubled Keelan Doss's bench reps, but as we've seen with a lot of other receivers, if you can't translate that bench to the field, it doesn't really matter. In fantasy football, the only thing that matters is how you perform on the field. Am I wrong or am I right? Yet every year I see, especially new dynasty players, but even middle-of-the-pack dynasty players and experts get fascinated with combine numbers. Like, oh, every single number in here is absolute truth, and that's the only thing that matters. There's no way this guy can be good because he ran a 4.6 second 40-yard dash. There have been a ridiculous amount of NFL successes in Dynasty with a 4.6 40-yard dash. But the people who don't watch the film, can't understand the film, or don't listen to anyone who does know how to watch the film, completely overlook those players. If you want to win in Dynasty, you have to find the undervalued players. Normally, those are the players who do bad at the combine. You just have to get used to it. The only way to understand if they're actually good is by watching the film, and if you can't understand what you're seeing on film, listening to someone who does. The last game I watched was against Toledo. He is a willing blocker, he's just so weak, and I think he has real agility issues. So the 20-yard shuttle showed that he didn't really have that bad of agility issues, but his 3-cone was below average, so that's kind of up in the air. But based on how many times I said that he's weak, I don't think his bench at the combine really translates to the field. He does have some nice little bursts. I think route running and acceleration are the only way he's going to win on the next level, which is fine. It's completely fine to not be a complete player. It really is. There are plenty of players. Most players in the NFL are not complete players. Almost all of them. There are very few complete players. The trick is finding the skill set where they can win consistently against the variety of defenders they're going to see. Keenan Allen wins because he's mentally on a completely different level of football intelligence than 95% of defensive backs. Even the best defensive backs in the NFL, they'll stay with Keenan Allen for 55 minutes, but for 5 minutes throughout the game, he completely tricked them. KeeSean Johnson has that ability. He doesn't have the route running yet, and he does have some concerns with strength and other areas, but he does try to block. He is smart with his shoulder angle and the play design while blocking, and he has good hand placement and body positioning. He just hasn't put it all together yet. Same with route running. He shows a lot of good traits, but he just hasn't put it all together yet. He is much more football player than athlete. The combine will probably not look that great. Didn't watch 2017. In my opinion, Dynasty is a stock market, and all of these rookies are like evaluating a startup company. KeeSean Johnson is a low-level tech company with a lot of features that most wouldn't understand unless they're in the tech industry or the internet industry, and he doesn't have much financial backing, quote-unquote athleticism, and all the metrics that most hedge fund managers use to decide whether or not to buy a stock. But to me, he's close to putting it all together. He's not there. He's not going to have an impact year one. He's going to have to learn how to beat much more athletic people than himself consistently until he gets good. But he's very close to being able to put it all together with route running, put it all together with blocking, put it all together with the football intelligence of play design and route concepts. So if there's one player in this draft who really is Keenan Allen 2.0, it's KeeSean Johnson. The probability of that happening is probably fairly low based on his college, his level of competition, his athletic issues, but it's been overcome before. I'm very curious to see where he lands and how high he gets drafted in the NFL because I went back and forth with him a lot. Next up is Marquise Hollywood Brown out of Oklahoma. He's 69.375 inches tall, or a little under 5'9.5", 166 pounds, 9-inch hands, 71.75-inch wingspan. All four of those metrics are below average, with weight being far below average. He's 21.84 years old, which is on the younger end of this spectrum, and he's coming out as a junior. His weight divided by height is the lowest in the class. He's got a middle-of-the-pack span divided by height and a middle-of-the-pack hand size divided by height. Marquise didn't participate in any drills at the combine because he was recovering from a Liz Frank injury, so let's go into what we saw on film out of Marquise Brown. Against Texas, damn, he looks little. He's fucking fast, he's fucking agile, got deep but then dropped the ball, but it would have been a difficult over-the-shoulder catch. Seems like the smallest amount of physicality throws him off or knocks him down. Not surprising at 166 pounds while having the skinniest frame of any receiver in this class. To me, that is not a very good combination, and then you add on a Liz Frank injury. That's why he's down here in my tier 3 when he's probably up in the first round conversation for most people. Great stop-start ability. Dropped another contested catch with very little contact. I don't think the NFL will be good for his play style. Understands route concepts, did a good job adjusting to the ball track and securing a contested catch. If you're going to be that small, you have to be able to make a couple contested catches, so it's good to see that he can. Correction, he dropped that ball. I do not think I will be the one to draft him. So right after I give him credit, it turns out that ball was actually incomplete. He's going to get murdered if he takes a clean hit by an NFL defender. Will block to help out his teammates. Good to see that mentality, for sure. Just dropped the ball that might have been slightly out in front of him, but I think he should have caught it. If you're going to be 166 pounds, you pretty much have to be the perfect wide receiver. Look at John Brown. His film is outstanding in the NFL. He can make every catch, runs great routes, has great speed, and even then, he's not really a top-tier wide receiver option. I don't think anyone would argue with that. I know he's had a lot of health issues with sickle cell and fighting through injuries, and he did have a good year last year once he finally got healthy, but John Brown literally doesn't drop anything. Next game was West Virginia. His acceleration is pretty nice. Didn't switch the ball to his outside hand once he became a ball carrier. Combine that with how little he is, and that's a bad combo for ball security. Some of you might not know, I would hope you do, but there's a lot of people who haven't played football or haven't been a running back or a ball carrier in football in real life. But after you've played enough, it's just kind of an instinct to put the ball in the outside hand, because then if you do fumble, it's more likely to go out of bounds. It's also harder for defenders to swipe and chop at that ball, because now they have to go an extra 2 feet to get there. If you're going to be 166 pounds and leave that ball on the inside, that's very scary to me. Just had a nice outside release while being faced with press man. Then he kept the defender on his back pocket and made an over-the-shoulder catch. Keeping the defender in his back pocket is just like what we talked about earlier, shielding a defender. Wherever that ball is going to land, you draw an imaginary line from that point to the middle of the defender, and your hips need to be in between the defender and the ball on that line. That way, there's no way the defender can reach there. There's a lot of receivers who aren't really that fast, like James Washington. He's decently fast, but he's not running under 4.3. But what he's good at is keeping the defender in his back hip. As soon as he gets on top of him, that defender can't go around him. He doesn't get a clean path to where that ball track is. So it's good to see that out of Marquise Brown. Has near elite change of direction. I love my agility. I wish we had combine times. The Liz Frank injury is very scary to me. Oklahoma State 2017. Willing to block, but he does little more than get in their way for a split second. Just did a great job during the scrambled drill of shaking the man defender and then good vision to get a couple extra yards. I don't think his skill with a ball in hand is a question. I think his frame and injury history do a lot of that. He's really dangerous on screens, has long speed for days. He sure can run some routes. Comes back to his quarterback well with a nice hands catch. On comebacks and hitches and actually all routes, if you got a defender on you, it's kind of an instinctual thing, but you need to run back towards the quarterback to make sure that defender doesn't undercut you. So it's good to see that he's aware of that. Iowa State 2017. He creates separation using a combination of athleticism and routes, not just one. A lot of you are going to think I don't like Marquise Brown because of how low I have him ranked. I really do like Marquise Brown. I like him a lot. I think he's probably or possibly the most athletic player in this entire class, but he's also the skinniest in this class. Was already too injured with a Liz Frank injury to participate in the combine or any pro day, so we're going only off of film. He has shown some drops on film. He's shown that he doesn't have good ball security habits. He does have near elite agility, or probably elite agility and long speed, which I like, but I still definitely preferred John Ross's tape to Marquise Brown's in college, and we know how long it's taken John Ross to do anything really meaningful for your fantasy team. I think anyone drafting him in the first round is certifiably insane with all the uncertainty we have about his testing numbers outside of his worst in the class weight and weight divided by height, while also realizing that the probable number one pick in the NFL draft was his quarterback, and the year before was the number one pick in the draft in Baker Mayfield. If he gets over his injury history and he can prove that he stays healthy in the NFL, he could be a steal wherever he's drafted. But right now with him going in the back end of the first round or beginning of the second round, that's just a price I can't pay for someone that small that's already coming off of a foot injury. So we don't know. Maybe he's lower now. Maybe he's fine. But there's just way too much uncertainty for me to use a pick where I need a safe, quote-unquote, player. On to Miles Boykin out of Notre Dame. This man is 75.75 inches tall, or barely under 6'4", 220 pounds, 9.875 inch hands, with an 81.375 inch wingspan. He is middle of the pack as far as age is concerned, at 22.49 years old, coming out as a redshirt junior. He has an above average weight divided by height, above average span divided by height, and an average hand size divided by height. Boykin absolutely destroyed the combine. I'm sure most people know this. Running an above average 4.42 second 40, one of the best verticals in the class at 43.5 inches, one of the best broad jumps in the class at 140 inches, a below average 12 reps on the bench, one of the best 3-cone times at 6.77 seconds, and one of the best 20-yard shuttles at 4.07 seconds. I don't have much film notes on Boykin. I watched him before the combine and just wasn't feeling like taking some detailed notes at the time. I had planned to later, and then after talking with my writer, he's most likely going to be writing an in-depth article about Boykin, and just kind of where I had him ranked and my writer's thoughts, I realized I should probably put him up a little higher. He's still in my tier 3, but I could move him up once we figure out landing spots after the NFL draft. The notes I did take: athletic, destroyed combine. A willing and effective blocker. I love blocking. That's how you get on the field early, which is a big reason why I might be moving him up. Athleticism doesn't show up on film as much as you'd think. After watching some more games, I think I kind of disagree with my initial statement, but he does need work running routes in a lot of ways. He needs to work on his strength. He doesn't make as many contested catches as I would like. He is good at ball tracking, and he does have good hands. He doesn't really drop anything unless there's contact. But for 6'4", 220, to have those numbers and to have the speed that he shows on film, he's got a lot of upside if he can learn how to run routes and improve his strength. He makes some nice high points, but he doesn't really jump for them. That was another thing I found kind of odd. You've got a 43.5 inch vertical, but you never really leave your feet to jump for a ball. If he can start doing that, which he really hasn't shown on film, I do get the Golladay comparisons. Kenny Galladay's film was much better coming out. He ran much better routes, had much cleaner hands, showed the ability to make acrobatic catches more often, but Miles Boykin is in that mold at 6'4", 220, running a 4.42. Some drops in traffic, poor to middling route running. Maybe take more detailed notes later. I have watched 4 games of his in great detail at this point just to see if I should move him up or not. I didn't take the notes because I knew my writer's going to have an article coming out about him. And I know he's gone into the second round conversation for a lot of people. I don't really know if I'd be comfortable taking him there yet. That'll definitely depend on landing spot with how deep this wide receiver class is. There are plenty of people who I think are going to fall a round or 2 later that have similar upside, but I am glad I went back and took the time to rewatch the film because his speed definitely shows up on film. He does have some good releases for sure. That's probably the thing I like about him the most is his physical releases, and combines that with finesse releases. He doesn't really have a plan right now, but he does have good just accuracy with his hand movements. You'll see him just destroy people's arms, and it almost seems like insane that he could even have the hand-eye coordination to hit the other guy's hand. He definitely needs to learn how to decelerate and break in his routes. He needs to learn how to head fake more and try to deceive. He's a work in progress, but there's a chance he could get on the field early because of his blocking and with how athletic he is. So I'm sure he'll move up out of my tier 3 as long as the landing spot isn't horrible. But he is kind of in the Emanuel Hall mold where there are other players that are similar enough to him that I'm not sure if a second round price is something I'm going to be comfortable paying. I get it. The combine numbers are insane for his size, and he does have good hands, and he does block well, and he does have some nice releases. I'd just like to see him maximize his athleticism on the field a little more. I'd love to see him run some better routes, but he was a pretty interesting and difficult evaluation. The last tier 3 receiver we're going to be talking about is Stanley Morgan Jr. out of Nebraska. He stands 72 inches tall, exactly 6 feet, 202 pounds, 9.875 inch hands, with a 78.125 inch wingspan. His height is below average, his hand size is above average, and the other 2 metrics are middle of the pack, with weight being slightly below average and span being slightly above average. He's middle of the pack when it comes to age at 22.58 years old, coming out as a senior. His weight divided by height is average, his span divided by height is greatly above average, and his hand size divided by height is greatly above average. Stanley ran a 4.53 second 40, which was middle of the pack. He didn't participate in the vertical. He had an above average 125-inch broad jump, a middle of the pack 14 reps on the bench, a very above average 6.78 three-cone drill, 0.01 seconds off of Miles Boykin, and a 4.13 second 20-yard shuttle, which was above average as well. Against Colorado, false steps on release, willing blocker, good job staying on his block, keeping his hands inside, running his feet, and being aware where the ball is. Rounded his out route, made a nice hands catch. Will throw his body to make a block. Great effort blocking. Able to turn his body from outside to inside while blocking, understanding where the ball carrier is going. It's not just saying at first he's trying to block him towards the sideline, then when the running back decides to go outside, he has the agility and awareness to move around the defender and now prevent the defender from going outside. Just one of those things you like to see that shows that he understands the play design and what he needs to do to help the team. Looks to have average to above average speed, average to above average acceleration. He definitely rounds his routes. Remember when we're talking about rounding a route, we're saying he's not having a sharp break. He's not decelerating and breaking 90 degrees to the right on an out route. He's not head faking and hard planning on a post to deceive the corner or the safety to think it's a corner. Nice diving catch on a low ball while running full speed. Good to see that he can get low and still hand catch. Shows the ability to adjust side to side when blocking. That's the 20-yard shuttle and the agility time showing up. It shows that he has functional strength and the ability to adjust instead of letting the defender go past him. Definitely needs to work on his routes. Nice contested grab on an out route. Shows speed and physicality to completely break away from the Colorado defensive back and make him fall down. I love seeing the combination of speed and physicality in a release or throughout a route. Going back to the whole tool belt and how many tools do you have in them? Well, some people have a tool belt and they only have one tool. Some people have a tool belt and they have 5 tools, but they only use 2. Some people have a tool belt with 5 tools and they can use all 5 at the same time. That's where you get to great receivers. They have a variety of skills that they can use instantly and concurrently in order to maximize their chances of success. So I love seeing both speed and physicality used at the same time to win during a play. That play was on a skinny post. High effort blocker. Nice adjustment to the ball in flight, but dropped it. Nice hands catch in traffic, found the soft spot in the zone. Dropped an over the shoulder pass near the end zone. Against Wisconsin. Nice break on a short out route, then hand catch and had the agility to get extra 7 yards for the first down. Morgan definitely has some nice side-to-side agility, possibly the best in this class at his size, for sure. Like with Miles Boykin, he had great 3-cone times and a good 20-yard shuttle, but I don't know if I've ever seen him use a jump cut, ever, where Stanley Morgan almost turns into a running back at times after the ball is in his hands and shows a great ability to elude defenders, in my opinion. He's not juking people out of their shoes, but he's just good at reading the angle the defender is going to take and splitting it. I think acceleration might be a concern. Missed a block and got his receiver blown up on a bubble screen. Nice hands catch in the soft spot of the cover 2 middle of the field dig/post, but the route was nothing amazing. He needs more burst and more sudden changes of direction in his routes. So kind of the same thing we said with Miles Boykin. The route running prowess isn't quite there yet. He shows good traits. He shows the athleticism. He shows the hands, just like Miles Boykin. But we're not seeing enough sudden burst and sudden breaks and understanding of how to deceive defenders using body lean and head fakes other than just pure athleticism. He's running better out routes, 90 degrees on short ones, and then had a decent hurdle over a diving defender. Everyone thinks it looks nice and cool when you hurdle someone, and it is nice and cool. You're also opening yourself up to a pretty nasty hit, but it's nice when it can be effective. It shows that you have just one more way to beat a defender. Like with running backs, you can power someone, you can make them miss, you can outrun them, or you can hurdle them. As soon as the receiver gets the ball, we want to see that he has a variety of ways to beat the defender as a ball carrier. Needs to get better at diagnosing the most dangerous man when blocking. The most dangerous man is which defender is most likely going to make this play. And sometimes you just have to come off your blocking assignment and go get that guy. Nice stop-start ability and awareness of how to make defenders miss with the ball in his hand. Showed a nice lateral jump step as well. Again, we're seeing that lateral jump step, that running back move after the ball is in his hand. When you combine that with good acceleration and deceleration and awareness of where the defenders are, that shows he's going to have probably some yards after the catch ability at the next level. I think agility is the best part of his game. The combine confirmed that. Good job finding the soft spot in the zone, was wide open, shows high vertical, the quarterback just missed him. So this is kind of opposite of what I normally say. They're not doing a drill at the combine, so they're probably trying to hide something. He shows a high vertical on tape. I'm not worried about his vertical. My guess is he was injured in some way. Maybe he doesn't have that good of a vertical, but we've seen him hurdle people. We've seen him high point and be able to jump high. And we're also seeing that he understands how to dissect opposing defenses. He's finding the soft spot in the zone consistently, and more often than not, he's making a good hands catch. Ohio State 2017. He's blanketed this game so far. That means he can't get open. Does show hand catching ability. Doesn't really show any release moves or a plan of attack on his release. Press man gave him a lot of problems. So with Boykin, one of his best traits was he found a way to beat his man on the release. I don't know if he was consciously thinking about it and had a plan beforehand, but he was quite effective in that way. Stanley Morgan is showing if you don't have a plan and you don't have a variety of moves on your release, press man's going to give you trouble. Is willing to use physicality, but really likes to use side-to-side agility in his release instead of physicality. Is not going to be a contested catch specialist on the sidelines. Miles Boykin is, in a lot of ways, similar. Both of these players are intriguing to me. Boykin is bigger, faster, and has a lot of the same route running issues, but Boykin does have better releases. But he also, Boykin that is, has a lot of issues with contested catches that you would like to not see with someone his size, and it's kind of the same with Stanley Morgan Jr. Nice catch over Denzel Ward, but he still was bobbling it. Iowa 2017. Seems to get hung up on physical corners. Has a lot of work to do with his release. Great one-handed catch in the end zone on a post. Definitely tries to hand catch far more than he tries to body catch. He definitely has good hands, although they are inconsistent from time to time. I'm actually pretty glad that just by going alphabetically, we got to end with Miles Boykin and Stanley Morgan. I see them as very similar players, even though they have different body types. Boykin is much better at releases. He's got a bigger wingspan. He's slightly faster and slightly more athletic, but he definitely needs to work on some route running and overall football IQ. Needs to get a little bit stronger because he put up a pretty poor bench compared to all his other numbers, and his lack of strength does show up on the film quite a bit. Stanley Morgan is most likely going to be a possession / yards after the catch receiver in the NFL, but he definitely needs to work on his releases, needs to work on his routes, but he shows a lot of nice traits, especially in the agility and football awareness department. Both of them show the desire to block, the ability to block effectively. Both have a chance to be used earlier in their careers because of their unique athletic traits. They're already pretty developed hands, but they both also have some things to work on, like all of these prospects. Boykin needs to get a little stronger. I was pretty disappointed with how many contested catches Boykin did drop. I also don't know why he doesn't high point the ball more. Stanley Morgan definitely needs a lot of work on his route running and his releases and knowing how to use multiple plans of attack in his release and throughout his routes, but he did show the ability to use multiple aspects throughout a route as well. So both of these players are quite intriguing to me. Stanley Morgan is a Nebraska guy, so it honestly makes it a little easier for me to evaluate him. I actually did not like Stanley Morgan as a Nebraska fan until this year. He really put a lot of things together. I think Scott Frost coming really did help him, but his route running definitely needs to be improved if he's going to be a fantasy contributor within a couple years. Well, that wraps up all of our Tier 3 wide receivers. Next time, we're going to be going through the Tier 2 wide receivers. A.J. Brown, Dylan Mitchell, Emmanuel Butler, Greg Dortch, Hakeem Butler, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Mecole Hardman, N'Keal Harry, and Preston Williams. I hope you enjoyed the content today. If you think I've provided you value, please consider going to my Patreon at patreon.com/365_dynasty. For $5 a month, you're going to get access to all of my personal ranks, the Excel spreadsheets that are color-coded to help you identify which receivers stack up against others in this class, positively and negatively. That's going to be done for all positions, including tight ends, quarterbacks, and running backs. There'll also be a projected rookie draft based on landing spots in the NFL draft. One for how your league is probably going to draft, and one where I would draft. And that's going to show which players I think are going to be the best value on draft day in your specific league. Coming hopefully before the start of the season, there's going to be a trade calculator that's going to be updated weekly during the season, and it's going to be based off of my own personal ranks, but there'll also be an option to use Fantasy Pros consensus, which I really don't recommend using other than a general estimate, to be honest. If you've got any feedback about the episode, I'd love to know what I can do better. If there's any terms I use that you don't understand, if you disagree with me about a prospect or feel like I'm overlooking something, you can reach me on Twitter at 365_dynasty, and be sure to include a timestamp of where I start talking about the term or the player or subject, because that'll make it a lot easier for me to quickly understand what you're talking about. Soon we're going to start doing live events on the weekends on YouTube and Twitch. On YouTube, search Dynasty-365. On Twitch, search Bubba365Dynasty. You can find me on Facebook, Bubba365Dynasty, and you can reach me via email, bubba@dynasty-365.com. And of course, the website is dynasty-365.com. Hope you enjoyed the content today. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on the episode and seeing what you think about the Tier 2 wide receivers coming up soon. You've been listening to Dynasty 365, where there is no off-season.
So much trouble, it's not my fault. All this I also lose my friends, I lost my baby that was looking crack. Only today want to change. He wanted us on the cougar and try more like to feel. I'd kill the real, take your life in a second. The devil drinks coffee in my kitchen, I mentioned eating every song. I just wanted to go away. You decide to stay in the well. I want to be forgiven, I don't like this kid for money. Sorry I was scared, you're not the way it feels. Like to sleep waiting for someone to come in and kill you. The final thing is that now we're not friends of anything. Go they gonna kill anyone that feels so powerful. They trip by you every your skin of everything is confusing. You will be good but you will be more. You will be good but you will be more.